Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Mike. It is Sunday morning. It is early. This is your week ahead video. I want to make sure I got this out there today. I'm not going to have a chance to do much else. I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I am trying to relax and get myself ready for this week. We have one hell of a week coming at us, guys. Let's start off with this week with data. Data, we have consumer confidence and the JOLTS jobs numbers on Tuesday. On Wednesday, big day, we start with ADP employment report and employment cost index, and then we get Chicago PMI, and then 2 p.m. we get the Fed decision, and 2:30 p.m. the press conference. Let's talk about that quickly. Nobody's expecting a rate cut. That would be a big surprise if we got a rate cut on this one, but everybody's expecting them to tee up the rate cut on the September meeting coming up in mid-September. So we'll keep our eye on that. That's an important one. Then after that, on Thursday, we have PMI manufacturing final, ISM manufacturing final, and construction spending, along with challenger job cuts. And then Friday, non-farm payroll at 8:30. So from a data perspective, it's a busy week. But really, this week is also really about earnings, and we have one hell of an earnings week coming at us, guys, that'll probably decide whether this market's going to rally more or not. So far, earnings have been very mixed. Guidance has been kind of meh. We'll see. We have McDonald's, who's been beaten up and on semi before the open on Monday. Those are some big ones. Um, After the close, Monday's pretty quiet. Then Tuesday morning, a bunch of names that'll be interesting. It'll be tradable. SoFi, PayPal, Pfizer, BP, PG, and Merck, among many others. You're going to get a nice broad look at the market there. These are all names I'll be interested in looking at. Tuesday night, we with you guys late, big night. AMD after the close, Microsoft, two big ones, Starbucks, Pinterest, First Solar, Electronic Arts, among many others. Mobile, Microsoft, always have to listen to that conference call. They offer guidance there. Wednesday morning before the open, Boeing, huge. You have Norwegian Cruise Lines, Kraft Heinz in there, CCJ, Kamiko there, and MasterCard. So far, none of the payment space has been very good. Another huge night on Wednesday night. Meta, ARM, Qualcomm, Carvana, Lam Research. You got Western Digital and Riot. We're going to talk more about what's going on with Bitcoin in a moment. Before the open on Thursday, you got Moderna, you got Crocs, you got some other names in there like Wayfair and stuff we'll keep our eyes on. And then Thursday night, another huge night. Amazon, Apple, Intel, Coinbase, Roku, DraftKings, Square, Marathon Oil. Remember, Apple doesn't report until 4:30, so we'll be with late. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, expect to stay late, and especially Thursday. And then Friday morning, we got to look at Exxon and Chevron, two of the bigger oil companies. So we have a huge week coming at us, guys. People will be very busy. From a sentiment perspective, as we come into this week, we're starting to ramp back up a little bit. The oscillators here, plus 118, overbought on the NASDAQ, and on the New York Stock Exchange, plus 76. So a little bit of change there. Your advanced decline lines all pushed back up nicely on Friday. Again, they're anticipating good earnings, it looks like to me. Number of stocks making highs versus lows on the SPY, 187 versus 8. Great there, that looks good. On the NASDAQ, 248 versus 69. So these are both going in the right direction. Your put to call is spiked into the bearish zone. So we have they're getting a lot of protection coming up. Usually when we get a big bearish signal like up here, we get a contrary signal, we get a big flush, a big squeeze. We're not there yet, but you're starting to see it. And, breadth turned back up here on the NASDAQ, and the New York Stock Exchange almost back at all-time highs. So overall, we're looking good as we come in here. Let's talk about crude real quick. Crude, another big down candle. That's good for the market. Bonds curling back up. That's good for the markets. Gold, what have you been doing? Pushing back up. What, look at that gap and push there. Bitcoin, this is the one we need to talk about. Why do we need to talk about Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is recovered and it's pushing back up here and it's trading right into this downtrend. And Trump was out over the weekend and he said, very bullish on Bitcoin, basically saying billions of people will be brought into their savings in Bitcoin. For behavior that's government threatening, I will order Treasury to cease creation of a central bank digital currency. Danger to our currency does not come from Bitcoin; it comes from Washington. We will keep every Bitcoin job. If I'm elected, I will shut down Operation Choke Point. I mean, all this kind of stuff with him. Very big. So we'll see. That will put Bitcoin into play this week. We'll keep an eye on that. All right, so let's go over to the S&P 500. S&P 500 gapped up, a little bit of a squeeze, couldn't get to above the 8-day, but held in well, and tight range back above the 50-day. So right now, the low from Thursday is holding. We're back up. We'll see what we get this week. Between the 8 and the 100, between the 8 and the 21-day here need to be cleared. You basically need to push back and get to the gap at 549.17. Did a nice job here, by the way. They pretty much just missed filling this gap, right? Just missed that gap fill. That said, now we know we have a gap here below Friday's low, wherever that is. I don't know. I don't see it. So we'll cancel that. We'll go fix that later on. All right. See the SPY held the trend line, kind of broke it below it and looking good. The Qs. The Qs very similar, not nearly the strength back on the highs though, as we wait for big earnings there. The 100-day holding there. The IWM continues to be the place to be. Talked about it need to break 224 and it closed above it and trying to break out here. Still long the IWM, still long TNA, still like this trade very much. The Dow also pushing back up. The financials last week curled back up, held the 8-day. Energy not doing a lot here, but curling up a bit. And XBI had a nice move to a new highs here on this one. So we talked about this can be a big week for earnings. And, we'll just start off with the semis. The semis have been weaker. Yeah, Friday they were also weaker, didn't hold in as well. We'll be catching everything in here. So AMT on Tuesday, that's your first one. This one closed way underneath the 200-day. So I was buying it up here. I'm ready to buy some more now, but I'm waiting for earnings, right? Patience. I don't like what's going on here. They're acting like they're expecting nothing but bad news. Sometimes I like that. Sometimes I like when they're thinking nothing but bad news. Maybe it's built in. But AMD here, we'll see what it does. NVIDIA also has been in a weak phase underneath the 50-day, kind of digesting here. Again, if AMD has a very strong AI story and revenue from it, I expect you may see a quick little drop in NVIDIA that maybe they'll worry about us losing some revenue to them. If AMD does not get much in the way of AI sales again, this would be Q3 of this. I would think NVIDIA would hold strong and pop. So we'll see how that works. We'll also get on semi. Micron here, way off the highs as well. You see a lot of these names have been big, meeting up Intel reports this week. Let's go on to our big cap friend zone, start looking around. Google already reported. It's down. It's trying to hold the 100-day, came back off the lows, not quite a hammer reversal on this one on Friday. We'll keep an eye on it to see if this holds here. It's extended to the downside. If it cannot hold, could have some more weakness ahead. You have this gap sitting here at 162.61. Mr. Tesla, Mr. Musk here, this big gap is still holding. You still have more room to the downside if they want it. We can come down, finish down here to this gap area fill, 213.25, and then maybe it takes this whole mountain back to 200. I still like this 205 area where the 50 and the 200 day are coming together as a place for support if we get some more weakness. Notable, it has not really tried to push into this gap yet. It touched it and kissed it and came off. The 8 and the 21 day are curling down. This is a chart that is starting to change character. All right, and then we'll get the rest of our names. Microsoft has had a little bit of a pullback here this week. As we come into this week, we'll see what we get. The 200-day is looming. If it's a bad report, that would be a very interesting spot to take some Microsoft long. If not, probably comes back up and needs to reclaim the 8 to 21 day. Amazon also start looking like, we'll see what it wants to do here. Coming into this bottom of this range, this candle right here, we talked about being your control candle right now. And if not, then we look our way down here towards this 166 and the 200-day at 167. If not, it needs to reclaim the 8 to 21 day to move back up. Meta also caught up in the soup. It's been kind of holding in here, broke below this control candle we talked about, but reclaimed it as we go into earnings. That gap sitting here at 476 is juicy. If it comes down, the earnings low from last time, they're looming at 414. Okay, we'll see how all these handle it. Remember, we're about to go into a big dollar cycle for Meta with the elections coming up. Apple, Apple here, cannot say I love the look of this chart right now. This is a beautiful move, great move up in here. You have a head and shoulders type pattern possibly developing here. So we'll see. Earnings for this week, we'll see if that salvages it. You can draw it on an angle depending what you want here, how you look at it. But you can see a clearly defined left shoulder. Here's your head, and it's a big head. So the worry here is if they don't like this one can come way in. There might be a little move all the way back down to this 195 or the 200-day. If not, I like this one to push. I like it to go back up and run for highs. I think Apple ultimately will be fine. So I wanted to touch on these big names here because these big names are going to decide this week the state of the market and what we do. You got Boeing in there. I mean, Boeing here is just sideways down here, despite all the constant bad news it's holding in. I like this one over 190 to 197, that 200-day. Then we see if we can get going. So bottom line here is to take it one day by day. No matter what's going on, there's going to be plenty of opportunity this week. So if Monday's very slow, and it might be very slow, you're going to have plenty of things to trade on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday between stocks with all the earnings, the Fed decision, and the data. There's going to be a busy week. So get yourselves ready for it. That's why I'm getting this video out there early. Go enjoy yourself today, relax, and come in tomorrow ready to rock. I'll catch you guys bright and early in the AM.